Can you read the first line then?
John say the aeroplane.
And the next line.
1, 2, 3.
Just a minute. 3. And
Yay.
no, push your tongue forward. 3.
3.
3.
A child struggles to avoid the stigma of illiteracy, which each year affects 170,000 school leavers. She represents the most educationally neglected of our children in a world that insists you read before you run.
Yay.
Now go 3.
3.
World's full of all sorts of smells. Do you often smell different smells?
Yes.
Especially?
Yes.
Would you tell us some of the ones that you've thought about for your poem?
Yes.
Well, tell me now.
Some smells are nice and some smells are horrible. I like the smell of fresh air and the wind rushing by. It makes you feel cool. I hate the smell of my daddy's beard, which he has when he comes back from the Norfolk Broads.
Mary is 7. She's imaginative, but more important, she can express her imagination. Her future is full of promise.
But for these children, the world of tomorrow offers far less hope. They come from an area in London where one teenager in every 5 starts work unable to read. Hard-pressed teachers accept the untrained help of local grammar school boys to get their 9-year-olds going. But 9 is often too late.
I think that unless a child is on the road to reading by the age of 9, it is very difficult to get them started, because the gap between the reader and the non-reader goes on widening. And unless we catch these children at the primary school stage, I think we are making the task of the secondary school teacher very difficult. One might almost say impossible.
And what's this sound make? E and A. Makes an E sound. So what's that word? Beat.
Beat.
17,000 overcrowded classrooms and a shortage of 20,000 teachers are the main causes of the appalling situation in Britain's primary schools, which could get worse. In September 1970, the school leaving age goes up to 16, and the demands on accommodation and teachers' time go up with it.
Ironically, it's the children who need the most help, the most enlightened teaching, who all too often receive the least and the worst. They're the children in the poor neighbourhoods near the decaying centres of our big cities. Keith Gardner, head of the remedial centre, Walsall.
The general situation in Walsall is the same in as most industrial areas throughout the country. Between 3 and 4 out of every 10 children are going to have the greatest difficulty in learning to read.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Now listen what Miss Rhodes is going to play for you.
These children fail mainly because of the social conditions in which they come. These are children who in the main are not taught to enough. They are children who come from homes where both parents go out to work. They see very little of their parents. There's little conversation. They may be better fed than they used to be, but for these reasons they are still starved of words. My language is not their language. This is very difficult to understand because the children will sit there, they appear to be listening, they're very polite about it, but very often it's a situation very much like talking to a budgie in a cage. The budgie will listen, but all you will get back is an echo of what you are saying, not real understanding.
Some attempts are being made to bridge the gap between the literate and the illiterate world, but they're too few and too short of money. Walsall is one of the few local authorities in Britain employing special teachers to help poor readers. Here, all 500 of the 8-year-olds needing individual help get it.
Has anybody got an oval?
At the remedial centre, the full-time staff of 7 are trying to unlock the minds of backward readers with inventive games. Dominoes marry words to pictures, and snakes and ladders have picture clues to the next word up.
5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The best progress is made with machines. This one works on the principle that success breeds success.
The cat sits on the
Until he gets the right word and presses the matching button, he can't turn on to the next page.
chair by near the window.
I am going to read page.
The price of literacy can be a £25 tape recorder adapted so that children can link up to their teacher's voice but work at their own pace.
Are you ready? My house has a blue door and
The total cost of the remedial centre in Walsall, excluding salaries, is £500 a year, £1 a year for each child. Yet there are only 5 centres like it in the country. Theirs is a rescue operation, but at best only half these children will make it. For the rest, it's already too late. They're past their most formative years.
switch off the machine.
This is the tragedy of the situation. You may be able to effect an improvement in their reading, but one thing you can never do is replace the lost years of reading experience. Those have gone forever.
Learning to read has been described as the yearly miracle, but any child can master it by the end of his first year given a sympathetic teacher. It shouldn't be difficult for either of them, provided the right relationship exists.
This is like the other piece we saw. Can you remember what it was?
It's like angels flying out. Yes.
Yes, it is. What are those things that look like angels? Well,
no,
this one is like
seeds.
this. They're little seeds, aren't they? Yes, this is from willow herb, isn't it?
Yes.
I wonder what will carry the seeds away. Can you see it's happening now?
Wind.
Yes. They're very light,
They
aren't
fall,
they?
my skirt was covered with
What else
them.
has seeds like that? Can you remember?
Aldrington Primary in Reading shows what primary education can achieve. But all too often the system fails in the case of 750,000 children who find themselves in overcrowded classrooms with harassed or badly trained teachers. Reading is the most basic of all learning skills, yet it's just one of several subjects a £20 a week teacher must take. Neither schools nor training colleges see it as a specialist subject.
And this is another one, but this one's, I think all the seeds have nearly blown away, haven't they?
Yes.
This one, going to blow the rest away. Now we found a lot of lovely, interesting things. Let's go back to the classroom and have a look. Come on. Back to the classroom.
These insistent, inquisitive 5-year-olds, each from a different background, each at a different stage of learning, demand a great deal of their teacher. As their vocabulary and their confidence grow, they become aware of the meaning of print. First, they realize that the shape of a particular word means something, stands for an object. Often they memorize that shape. Later, they find that words are made up of separate letters, which give them a clue to the sound that the printed words make. Then, they begin to spell.
Food all over the leaf. Can you see them?
That one, we haven't had that one.
The reading corner of any infant classroom is designed to appeal to readers and non-readers alike. Here they discover for themselves that books can take them beyond their own limited experience.
She said, go into the garden and find the mouse. So she said,
Joyce Butterworth, a primary school headmistress.
Once the children realise the knowledge and the enjoyment we can get from books, well, we're halfway there.
There's no set procedure for teaching infants. In this classroom, the teacher decides what she'll teach and how she'll teach it. As in most schools, she uses a combination of reading methods, look and say, and sounds. It's up to her to find out what suits each child best and to take him along at his own pace. She concentrates first on getting him to recognise the words he's chosen.
Tell me about your picture.
a man and a dog and a tree with a piece of paper and this is going to be a house.
You're going to make a house, that's right. Yes, so you're going to put the windows in the house.
Yeah.
Of course, they will first talk about the pictures they draw, and we ask them about them, they talk about it, and then we begin to write.
Now you tell me what you'd like me to write.
That man. That man
Yes, the man.
has got a dog.
Yes, now you watch me write it. Watch carefully, no, don't draw just for the minute, you watch.
Very soon the child will copy and therefore learn to spell the words that he has already spoken.
That's the big tree, yes. And who is this?
The lady.
The lady, and you've written the lady here, haven't you? The lady has an... Now, what word do you want now? Orange, you'd like orange. Do you know where we can find it in the classroom? Can you go and find it in our classroom? Go and have a look at it and see if you can find it. That's right.
Of course, the only way really to learn to read is to read. And we let the children read to us. So what's the first letter?
Breck.
Yes. Now try the last half.
Fast.
Yes, what is it all?
Breakfast.
Read it all again.
After breakfast.
Yes, you have breakfast. After breakfast.
The success of this informal way of teaching children, by involving them in their everyday experiences, depends entirely on a teacher's skill and patience. Its critics say it's too chancy. Because of the absurdities of our language, 600 infant teachers have adopted a more systematic approach, helped by 2 new reading systems. The first was the Initial Teaching Alphabet, ITA as it was called, which came out in 1961. It uses the letters of the alphabet and 20 new characters which together cover every sound in the language. It's still regarded with suspicion, but is likely to get a guarded go-ahead from the school's council and others when they report on it in the new year. Supporters say it gives children confidence. They don't have to worry about spelling to begin with, so they tackle long and complicated words earlier than other children and write more freely and imaginatively.
And Helen fell in a puddle, and the old lady dropped her bag, and it flew open. Oh, my dear child, are you hurt? No, just my knee is bleeding.
These children in Southend, like others using the system, have no trouble in transferring from ITA to ordinary print.
I know what we'll do. We'll change books. You have my book to read from, and I'll follow in yours. Would you like to read that page again? Here it is.
There were 6 little ducks, and they followed Andrew all round the farm. Martha sat by the side of the blue barn and watched them start.
Very nice. Now you'll have to run along, won't you? And you must take your book with you. Which book is yours? That one. How do you know?
Because that's clean.
It is clean, isn't it? Is there any other difference?
It's grown. That's easy and that's grown up.
That's easy reading. And what kind of reading is this?
Grown up.
Grown up, but you can do it, can't you?
Good. With the pink. Royal blue, what's its name? Ill.
Words in colour, the second system, was introduced in 1963. Here in Reading, the children quickly learn to recognise a new sound or letter by its colour and immediately build words with it.
Who would like to come and make a word using the new colour, the new royal blue? Mark. You can use any other colour with the royal blue. What's that? Ill. Ill, good.
Mary Fowles, headmistress of a Reading primary school.
By the time our children have gone through their words in colour course, they'll be able to pick up any book, any paper. Every child is experiencing, touching, feeling things, seeing things all the time. And they have this quality, this lyrical quality of expressing themselves in themselves. If they are able to read well and write well and have complete command over their tools of expression, all this poetry can come out. Have you got a poem about an animal, John?
Yes. It's an imaginary one. It's my poem, really. I can't say it's yours because I didn't make it for you all that much.
Would you like to read it to us?
Yes. The lively makeup. The old makeup is charging into battle with a giant ogre on his back. Now like a slow tortoise walking, now like a giant striding along, now like a fly limping home, now with a spear in his side. He's dead.
Barbara, what is your poem about?
It's about a leaf.
Why did you write a poem about a leaf?
Well, one day I was walking down the drive with my little dog and I saw a leaf on the ground and it was crumpled, so I picked it up and it fell apart.
So you wrote a poem about it?
Yes.
Would you like to read it to us?
Yes. I have a leaf all golden brown. It's crumpled like a little frown. When I hold it in my hand, it falls apart like yellow sand.
The wide variety of teaching methods can confuse children who change schools. But for the moment, neither government nor local authority dare standardise the teaching of reading, dare violate the English teacher's privilege to choose from a multitude of methods the one she likes best.
Improved techniques are not the only solution to the problems of tomorrow's illiterates. Formal education in Britain starts at the age of 5, but there's growing support for a national policy of preschool education in state nursery schools. Many parents and teachers feel that children need to get out into the world before they're 5 and learn to get on with each other. Above all, they must learn to communicate.
You went to Lorraine Street. Lorraine.
Gail and Tracy are twins. A year ago, their mother couldn't understand what they were saying.
I took them to the doctor as it worried me about them not talking properly. And I thought the children, 2.5, should be making conversation, which they weren't. And he advised me to bring them down to the nursery. So after a month, I was talking quite plain, you know. And we could understand them, and the teachers noticed the difference. And I think it was mixing with the other children.
Mary Goldsworthy, responsible for over 200 nursery schools in London, believes speech is vital.
It's the inhibited child who is lacking in confidence, who cannot express himself easily. It is that child who is going to find it very difficult to learn to read and may need special help later on.
If we got these children at 2, and from the ages of 2 to 5 were able to give them a good nursery education, then I am certain that a great many of our problems would disappear. For in a nursery school, these children would receive planned play, they would receive conversation with other children and with adults, they would be introduced to books, they would receive experiences that would stimulate their interest, and the result of all this would be to level out the degree of disadvantage with which they would enter school compared with more fortunate children.
The American project, Head Start, could be a pattern for the future. It started a year ago and now provides nursery schooling for 160,000 children like Debbie at a cost of £100 million. It's a unique experiment. It brings children into school earlier, and more important, it involves the parents too. It encourages them to take the children out. It even gets them to lend a hand.
I work in the family division. If a child is out from school, I'm what you call a family worker. And if a child is out of school, I go to the home to find out if she's out more than 2 days. I go to the home and find out why she's out. If there's any personal problem, if I can help her, I can. If it's way beyond where I can't help her, then I give it to the social worker.
Like children from any poor neighbourhood, their experience is often limited to 4 walls and 4 bare walls at that. The programme involves them in activities which will help them to grow in thought and in the spoken word. American children normally start school at the age of 6, and the response of parents to this preschool project has taken even the crusading experts by surprise. They've woken up. Like parents anywhere in the world, they do have ambitions for their children.
In Britain, some parents believe they give their children a head start by teaching at home.
By the time that he was 3, he'd done 1,500 cards and read some of the school books too.
Put a little blouse on the dolly to keep the sun off. Then she will soon be better. If I make my dollies wear blouses most of the time, said Nurse Susan, if they'd better safe than sorry.
Very nice. Do you want to read some more?
No, thanks.
You'll know this one's coming now. What's this one?
Hey?
Yes.
Carla might do even better. She can recognise the shapes of 86 words at the age of 2 years, 3 months.
When it's dry.
Teachers believe this kind of encouragement does no harm, provided it's kept as a game, provided the initiative comes from the child, and as soon as she grows bored, the parent stops. Mary Warrington, lecturer in child development, University of London.
I don't like it because it isn't really reading at all, it's simply shouting at print. One child who I saw with the cards recently, the card was held up mother, and he insisted on saying Mummy, Daddy, Auntie Sarah, Susan and the whole family. In fact, it was a story, it wasn't reading in the slightest. And I also don't like it because there's such a competitive element coming in here. For instance, in the Infant Welfare Centre, mother of a baby of 19 months says proudly, my child can read 3 words. And then a wretched mother of a child of about 3 feels dreadfully guilty, rushes off to buy the magic box, and then starts at home teaching, and the slaps and smacks begin to fly, and the whole mother-child relationship is disturbed.
It's in nursery schools like this that 2 to 5-year-olds learn things far more important than reading.
They're developing definite qualities and attitudes and abilities. They're developing initiative, for instance, self-reliance, a spirit of inquiry, and very important in this day and age, I think, they're developing an ability to concentrate.
And now sit down on the floor, very quietly. Sit down. And now lie down on the floor.
Sometimes it's easier if you close your eyes to listen to music.
Of course it prepares them for the infant school, but does something very much more important. It prepares children for life. And that, I think, is the important thing to remember. It has been said, and I feel quite rightly, that if a child is not a Democrat by the age of 5, he never will be a real Democrat.
But we can't. We can't when we're lying down this.
Well, you have to get up to it, won't you, Kathy? Would you like to have the tambourine?
She's hello,
Yes, but you have to have it again now.
These are the lucky ones. But for every child fortunate enough to get into nursery school, there are 99 others who must stay at home. In Russia, 4 in every 10 go to nursery school. In America, 6 in 10. In France and Belgium, 8. Here, it's only 1 in 100. More and more people believe that a year in nursery school would go a long way towards giving all children an equal chance, and that priority should be given to improving primary education, so we no longer have a situation where 1 child in 5 leaves school unable to read even a daily newspaper.
We've got our priorities wrong. There's no good building a bigger and better secondary education and ignore the foundations. Youngsters like this, ordinary, bright youngsters, need never be here doing things like this if we had put the early years in their right perspective.